So filler causes cancer. Now this is a brand new study. You likely haven't heard of this unless you follow my channel. So what do you do now? If you have filler, do you need to get it removed? Should you get filler if you are contemplating this procedure? What to do now? I'll guide you. This is the article headline that many of you are seeing. Thousands of women with cosmetic filler injections face cancer risk. Here's another headline. I may become the world's most hated plastic surgeon, but I had to raise my dermal filler fears. Well, there's a new major study, and it's going to hit people like a ton of bricks, potentially causing mayhem throughout the entire aesthetic industry, not just with fillers. You see, it's a matter of time until social media gets a hint of just how viral this could go. But there's one catch here, a huge catch that I'll tell you about. But first, the study. Oh, and don't worry, I have filler in my face. I've also injected filler since 2001 all around the world to the tune of tens of thousands of vials. I'll tell you what to do and what I personally am going to do with this new data. Here are the headlines from the study that I'm going to share with you of the investigators and people in the periphery of the study. Here's what they said. Firstly, all filler patients will have some degree of blockage, even if there's no lumps or visible swelling. They're talking about lymphatic blockage, and that means you might get it or you will get it, according to them, even if you see nothing on your skin surface like redness or swelling. Number two, filler can block and permanently, keyword, damage these vital and delicate structures. Well, I thought these were dissolvable fillers. I'll tell you the inside scoop on that as well. Third, they said, I cannot in good conscience provide this to my patients anymore because of what I saw. Very dramatic, very bombastic indeed. Now, the study in question. You see a team of doctors used a special camera to examine the lymphatics in 50 women who've had facial filler. A special dye was injected into the women's faces, which the camera could then track as it moved through the women's lymphatic channels. The lymphatics, so you know, are in our body to clear impurities and waste products. It fights infection and maintains a healthy, here it is, immunity. As you know, immunity is important of your body because you're making cancer cells every day and your immune system gobbles them up and gets rid of them. I'll make that connection with you more clear in a minute. But the study showed dye injected into the faces of women with the filler pool under the wear, the eyes and in the cheeks, and it's still stuck there 1 week. Keep that number in mind, 1 week later, because that's going to be important of our cancer implication. Your lymphatic system would normally have drained that dye you see out almost immediately, but not with the filler present. I'll tell you about the cancer connection in a moment, but first I want to tell you that catch I was telling you about and why maybe no one's going to hear about this. You see, the filler industry is now worth an estimated, are you sitting down, 5 billion, I said billion with a B, globally, and is forecast to grow to some 9 billion by 2030. That's an easy double. Yeah. But aesthetics as a whole is 10 times that. So goes fillers, so goes lasers, threads, creams, other devices, and many of those providing services, meaning the practitioners injecting the stuff, are paid by the companies. So to speak out against these filler is, well, career-ending and financial suicide. You see the issue here. And of course, Hollywood needs to look good, social media needs the controversy to thrive, and influencers need the beauty to get boosted on the algorithms that they use. There's a lot of cash here. So you see, there's no incentive for this stuff to be taken away. You get where I'm going. If you follow my social media, you know how I'm thinking. Let the games begin. But back to your health and wellness. And remember, if you're getting value from these videos and I'm helping you with your journey, click the like button and subscribe. There's more of these videos coming your way to keep you updated. One more key point before we hit the cancer connection. You all likely already know the lymphatic and water attraction properties of these hyaluronic acid fillers. You know, under eye fillers are one of the biggest problem areas, of course. You see women everywhere with swollen eyes. Not just women, I myself have had it before. That's why filler is not meant to be placed there. When I take you through the actionable items at the end, I'll detail more on this, but you likely all remember just last week, all the pictures of Kylie with the under eye area when she looked down. It went viral. Who did that botched under eye treatment? So that's inherent with fillers. This is nothing new about the lymphatic drainage that we know that can occur. But now the cancer connection. You see, filler also has been found to trigger the immune response system, where the body sends killer T cells to attack what it recognizes as a foreign object. Filler is a foreign object, of course. It's cross-linked hyaluronic acid, which is different than your own hyaluronic acid that you make and break down in your body. This is bacterial cross-linked for the most part. There's different ways of cross-linking, but bacterial is most common. In fact, there was one that was non-bacterial cross-linked here in the US about 12 years ago. It was very reactive. Everyone swelled up enormously, and I injected that for about 3 weeks before we realized it. So these are foreign bodies. Think swelling, redness, and reactive. Cancer now has been detected in a small number of patients where T cells attacked some breast implants. You remember that? The breast cancers from certain implants. You don't hear much about that anymore, do you? It's not up on the algorithms. Same with breast implant illness. But therein lies the connection with the lymphatics and these T cells and the immunity, and that leading to cancer. Now, we know that lymph nodes have had a foreign body reaction to filler, and this has been demonstrated. We know that when lymph node dissection is done around fillers, that the fillers have had a reactive or an immune response within them. However, to make this jump to cancer, frankly, it's a bit of a leap. Filler is not causally proven to cancer. I agree, no doubt, with this lymphatic issue. That, I think, is proven. But the jump to cancer might even be a little disingenuous. Here's one more interesting tidbit you might want to be aware of. In the chatter in private rooms like Facebook groups, where injectors talk and people look at studies, and people within the industry, somewhat chat rooms, what you're hearing is that this may be a ploy from plastic surgeons who did the study to get more surgeries and capture back what they gave to mainly nurses. Nurses do most of the injections in many countries. They want to get that business back that they gave to them 30 years ago. The money from med spas, so to speak. If you look at the facelift industry, and this is what they're pointing to, 70% of surgeons have observed the trend of younger patients, so under the age of 50, inquiring about facelifts. Take that to the next step. 65% of surgeons observed that patients interested in facelifts are more circumspect about using facial fillers. Well, where do people get their information? TikTok mainly, but also social media. The next step here, 80% of surgeons have noticed an increase in intraoperative anatomical distortion because of the use of fillers in facelift patients that they're doing. This is the old story. You can't get a facelift if you've had fillers or Sculptra. I have videos on that. This is a hotly debated point, but just to let you know what some of the talking in the industry is regarding this study, because they did make that these cancer headlines and they're so bombastic about it. People are thinking, is this real? And where did the data come from? Well, it came from the surgeons. So just a follow-up on that. So most importantly, what should you do? Well, first, let's go through what not to do. And yes, filler lasts much longer than anyone thinks, tens of years. Of note, I'm talking hyaluronic acid fillers like Juvederm and Restylane. Those are the dissolvable ones. Remember way back in this video, I said that they said this is permanent? Well, these are dissolvable, and frankly, having dissolved a lot, they're quite easily dissolvable as long as you're getting good, real fillers. The ones I use, I dissolve them readily if needed. You have to remember that when people say a filler lasts a year or 2 years or 18 months, that's from the approval trial done by the company to show a result. They've never studied how long it is lasting in the face, but clinicians like me and everyone else injecting these products, we know they last tens of years in many people. What else should you not do? Well, you shouldn't, in my opinion, be getting these fillers at the age of 16. These are not to be used flippantly, and by 50 you can imagine you'll have a face full of fillers. That's not good. You should also not be getting filler face. Don't chase aging with filler, popping in and getting a few vials every 3 or 4 months like so many people do for their pick-me-up. That's a bad idea. Filler is a tool to be used sparingly and pointedly, judiciously. Also, you should not be going for the lowest price, but instead see an expert that's looking at your entire face and making a treatment plan. Get real fillers placed correctly where they need to be. There are many bad fillers out there, reactive fillers that cause more of an immune response. You don't want those. And anatomy is complex, so placing fillers around the 2 lymphatic chains, superficial and deep, around the eye, no real injector is going to do that. So it does matter who you see. Now what should you be doing? Key. People don't need to panic and go get their fillers dissolved. This is preliminary research, but it gives us fuel to keep researching. We need to get to the bottom of it. I'm personally not getting my fillers dissolved. I've had about 5 or 6 vials over the years. I've also had some Sculptra, considered more of a biostimulator. I'm a big fan of that, and I use a lot of that in practice. In the last few years for myself, though, I've moved over to all PRF and Plasma-Fill. This is where we take your blood, we spin it down, we concentrate your own exosomes, growth factors, and stem cells, all the goodness from it. Then we take another portion of the blood, we heat it into a gel, we mix them back and forth, and then we put it into your face for regenerative medicine to make your own fat pads and skin better. That's what I choose to do for myself. The less synthetic, the better for me. But we all have choices. Synthetic things are what can elicit the immune response. These all-natural solutions, well, they're simply booming. Practices providing these can't keep up. Remember, only 5 to 7% of the people in the world, like your neighbor, like the guy delivering your groceries, whatever, people out in the real world doing real things, meaning not Hollywood and famous people, most of those people, they would never get fillers put in their face, but they'll do all natural. So luckily, the trend is this way. And with regenerative, with PRF, remember, don't be fooled by PRP. PRP is platelet-rich plasma. PRF is platelet-rich fibrin. You want the real deal. PRF is the newest and latest generation. Look for PRF. What else should you do? You should be getting more natural treatments with safe devices and have realistic expectations. Think CO2 lasers, erbium YAG. I like RF microneedling for reducing fat in certain areas. Biostimulators, Plasma-Fill I mentioned, exosomes, PDRN, polynucleotides, all those regenerative medicine type of factors, they're booming, and that's great. People are moving away from synthetics. You should also eat real food, sleep, exercise, limit your sun exposure. Photo damage accounts for about 70% of your aging. You should think nutraceuticals, collagen powder, K2D3, maintain your bone. Your face has bone. Also, hormones, maintain your hormones. All those things can keep you looking young, safer, and in a healthy manner. Now, speaking of safety, you're going to want to watch this video on how LED light can naturally maintain your facial fat pads, and one down here on simple ways you can boost your hormones and collagen production at home, keep your skin and body beautiful, healthy, and vibrant.